Looking to knock off a 30+ mile day in 32-degree weather with a 4,500-foot climb to end it all off. This is going to be a bit of a doozy. Welcome to day 82 of my hike from Mexico to Canada along the Pacific Crest Trail. Leave your shirt out to dry overnight and it gets nibbled by a mouse. The morning climb would lead to flatter views ahead. Looking forward to that. And as we continue north, water gets a little bit more scarce than just directly on trail. So we've got to take a side road off to the ditch in order to collect for the morning. The walk back up would bring a PCT warning about the bear fire from years prior. And you could start to see that on trail from the burnt out bark, finding it hard to locate the trail, and a ton of blowdowns. The trail would eventually open up to the stark contrast of this fire. Absolute devastation on the right, forest on the left. But even through death, you can see signs of new life. If that isn't an analogy to take away from this section of trail, I don't know what is. Volunteers would let us know not to take this next section of trail and to take a detour along a service road that has actually been cleared. When we reached the area in which they wanted us to reconnect with the trail, it was a full bush wall to get through before things eventually opened up. I'd contend with multiple blowdowns, 133 in total, before reaching the bridge that would take me down to the Feather River. I take a brief break at a camp spot, realizing how absolutely disgusting I was. So off to the river to splash around and clean myself off. I'd head back to that same camp spot to hang underneath the canopies of trees, and then BC and Pidge would arrive to change my plans. Well, this spot is absolutely incredible, and I have been convinced to stay and not do the 11-mile hike out, but to do it tomorrow. Honestly, this is what the PCT is all about, is just hanging out in really cool areas like this. So for me, it's back to the river I go. Honestly, you can't keep this guy from the water, so back in I went. I'd watch pigeons stumble around the rocks to come join me in the sun, and then all there was to do was kick up my feet and soak it all in. BC would get in on the action, we'd do some laundry creekside, and it was back underneath the canopy of the trees to hang out. A few other hikers had the same idea, and we'd set up our camp in this awesome spot for the night. Not the big miles I anticipated today, but that afternoon was so worth it, just hanging out in the river and chilling down here. I wouldn't trade that for another 11 miles. We're off to Bucks Lake tomorrow. We got this massive climb in the morning, so we'll see you guys then.